travels the country leading programs in prisons for governments and court systems. In Georgia, he partners with several schools to teach courses aimed at helping students make better choices. But Strickland isn't a teacher. In fact, he is a convicted felon who admits to selling drugs across the country, and it started when he was just 13 years of age.
This is what things look like. When we come out here, we stand in front of our power. When we come out here, we demand justice. When we come out, we take them same laws so that we can't be shot in the street. So that our families got the same protection as every other family. That's what things look like.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Keith Strickland. I'm the founder and CEO of Making a Transition. I want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight on Change Agents for Social Justice. And I just want to give you a little background on who I am, tell you a little bit about my story, even though most of y'all probably already know. Like I said, I started a company called Making a Transition. Making a Transition is an agency that is founded out of Atlanta, Georgia, but we work all across the United States. We create programs that help reach high-risk inner city youth inside of schools, inside of courts, inside of government agencies, and all throughout the community. And the reason why I started that is because I grew up very young in the streets selling drugs, and I created a lot of problems in my community. I made a lot of mistakes in my community, and I almost lost my life and my freedom several times. So after I finally got my life together, I decided it wasn't enough to change my own life. I needed to go back into the community and help reach those people who were still in the places where I used to be at. When I was growing up, I lacked the opportunity for a mentor. When I was growing up, I lacked the opportunity to have a mentor. And because of that, I made so many mistakes, it was ridiculous. So I wanted to make sure I changed that by giving people the opportunities they needed now so that they can make the changes they need to in their life. So that's what Making a Transition is. Making a Transition is the company that I founded so that we can go inside our community, so we can go inside our schools, so we can reach our youth no matter where they're at and get them the like external family that they need, get them the support, the motivation, the exposure, all the tools they need to make sure that they can change their life. So tonight, we're gonna have a phenomenal show. What we're gonna talk about is we're gonna talk to different Black men who work with youth in all kinds of different ways. And we're gonna talk about why is it so important for Black men to really be impactful in their children's lives and in Black young men's lives, period. So I wanna introduce our guests, and I'm really excited about tonight's show because as a change agent, one of the biggest parts of making change in your community is being present in your community, showing up in your community, breaking cycles, and making sure that people who never had different resources have that because of you. So I'm really excited to introduce these young men tonight. So before I do that, I want to show you guys a video. And bear with me on this because I always mess up with this. But I want to show you guys a video that I think is really, really, really impactful and that I think you guys will really, really get a lot out of, right? And the video I want to show y'all comes from an Instagram page. And I put the Instagram page up, but it comes from an Instagram page of this man who I saw that really, man, when I say you, it really, really, really touched me.
So pull out tight and then straddle, okay?
Okay.
1, 2. Are you okay? So pull out tight and
oh my goodness. All right, guys, we have an issue with the video that I'm trying to show. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the guys, and then once I let everybody introduce themselves, then I go back to the video. Hey guys, can you guys go ahead and cut your cameras on and introduce yourselves, and then tell a little bit about who you are, give a little background on who you are.
I guess I go ahead and start popping off, man. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Strickland for putting this kind of panel together, man. The importance for mentorship in the Black community for Black men is few and far between, and it's something that we really, really need. And my story, and I'm pretty sure these other brothers on the panel story were definitely aligned with the fact that we need more mentorship in our community for us, especially for when we was growing up. But I am Martin Chapman, the executive director of an organization called SQUAD. SQUAD stands for Supporting Quality and Urban Adolescent Dreams Incorporated. And what we do is we encourage problem solving through STEM career exploration. We have a partnership with my brother, Mr. Juan Moore organization, which is the Future CEO program. And we created an initiative called the Black Wealth Pipeline. Black Wealth Pipeline is a connection between my organization and his organization. And what we do is we take kids through the problem solving process and get them excited about careers in technology, careers in STEM, and high paying careers that would pretty much catapult some of our youth that come from low income backgrounds into high paying positions in the future. That's pretty much what we do on the front end, and we translate it to a level to where they understand it. We incorporate the culture, hip hop, different components of the culture so that they can be able to understand the high level technology jargon that's going on whenever we teaching it to them. And then we send them through a program called the Startup Camp, which is a program where we teach kids about entrepreneurship. We focus a lot on tech entrepreneurship. That's a big wave right now, and just entrepreneurship in general for products or services. And they learn pretty much how to problem solve, find a problem, create a solution, and then monetize that solution. And then they go through the Future CEO program, where they actually create a fully functional working business from EIN, from ideation, EIN, to the full service or product that they're giving out. And we pretty much do that to give them a chance at creating opportunities for themselves. And also, we do that so they can really truly understand what's coming for them in the future and kind of be ahead of that curve. So that's pretty much what we do, what I do on a daily basis. And at the core of everything that we do for sure is mentorship and making sure that our young brothers had the right mindset throughout this whole process.
Hey, Martin, so where can they find your organization at? What's your website? What's your Instagram?
Okay. So the Instagram is Squad Dreams 411. That's SQUAD DREAMS 411, and that's the Instagram. And our website is www.squaddreams.org.
All right. Is the next person ready? Whoever wants to jump on, you go ahead and get your intro and let people know who you are. All right.
Okay, I guess I'll go. I'm Hodges Womack. I am CEO, co-founder of Innovative School Tools, an ed tech company that builds software platforms for educators so that they can get their paperwork and workflows done so they can spend more time on actually helping our children. So that's the main focus of what I do every day. I also have a consulting company where I help administrators get better in their craft so they can lead schools in a more effective and efficient manner. Also, I totally agree with, I want to thank Strickland for inviting me on, because mentorship is so very important. It definitely played a major role in my life because my father passed when I was 15. And if it wasn't for mentors along the way, be it not just life, job, community, college, etc., I wouldn't be where I am to this day. So,
thank you for taking the time. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys for actually coming on, sharing your personal experiences and being able to help motivate. So that's what this whole platform is about. It's about creating change within our community and inspire our community by sharing real life stories and sharing techniques, and not only just telling people what they need to do, but showing people what you're doing and then sparking what they can do in their community. So who wants to go next? Ivan, Mike?
Thanks again, Keith, for the invitation. Definitely honored to be amongst the company of such accomplished brothers. Really, name is Ivan Gaskin, born in Atlanta, Georgia, raised in the north end of Seattle, Washington. Currently, I'm a poet as well as an affordable housing provider. Basically, what my business consists of is identifying distressed properties, primarily in West and Southwest Atlanta, renovating those properties, and then leasing them out to those in need of affordable housing. It's provided me a very unique lens into the full spectrum, having been an individual who graduated from Morehouse College in 2016 and then living on the West Side and then also working on the West Side in affordable housing to be able to see a lot of the gaps that are missed in terms of education and how that plays back into generational cycles of poverty that continue to perpetuate what it is that's been going on for centuries into the future. So when you start talking about how is it the individuals are reaching back and really inspiring people to believe that you are the truth of your imagination and that your story is important, and making sure that people take the time to identify what about your story is something that the world needs to see, is something that's very important to me. And that ties into the second piece of what it is that I do as a poet. I write, speak, and perform, and really just try to bring people together through community and words, and really tying ideas together to basically give people a platform to see their lives differently. One of the things that Keith does very well. So in terms of mentorship and ultimately what that means to me and what it is that I've been able to see or benefit from, as a business owner, there's not a school that you can go to. You can go to school for entrepreneurship, you can do all of these different things, but I think that when people talk about your network being your net worth, that is 100% something that I will stand by, because when you look at the people that you spend time around, like the 5 people that you spend the most time around are 100% an average of what it is that you are going to be in your life. And when you start talking about, hey, who am I surrounding myself with, and what benefits as well as trials are those reaping in my life? That's something that I 100% stand by. And in my life, in my journey, and everything it is that I've done to this point, I've been able to experience, it's been 100% because of people who came before me, being able to relate to those stories, learn from their stories, and then add on whatever it is that I have to give to the world on top of what was already provided. So thank you, Keith, for the platform. I'm definitely excited for the conversation.
Thank you as well, brother. I appreciate y'all being here. Mike, you ready?
Yes, sir. Once again, I appreciate you, Mr. Strickland, for inviting me. Like the other brother said, thank you for allowing me to increase my network, as Mr. Gaskin said, and just meet these other brothers that are interested in helping giving back to our community and help build our community from the grassroots level. I think that's very important. My name is Michael Deandre Scott. I'm a youth enrichment counselor, basketball coach, basketball trainer, health and wellness trainer here for the National Center for Children and Families. It's a nonprofit organization in Bethesda, Maryland, based out of the Washington, D.C. area that we help. We service anywhere from 40 to 80,000 underprivileged people every year and help get them to pretty much from extreme poverty to the next threshold of their life. I work for the GAP program, the Green Tree Adolescent Program, where we work with kids between the ages of 12 and 20-year-old males, adolescent males, in which we provide them with shelter, we provide them with care. And I am the health and wellness counselor as well as basketball coach, basketball instructor, basketball instructor, and I just mentor them each and every day. I'm here almost every day of the week. I also am a visual storyteller. I got my degree from Morehouse in filmmaking, and I'm highly interested in helping educate and entertain, particularly our people through visual storytelling, through film, through all different avenues of, telling stories. I think stories are very impactful. It's the number one way to bring people together. It connects the past to the present to the future, and it also helps, give people understanding that we need so we can connect with one another. I went to school with Mr. Gaskin, and I also met Mr. Strickland through Mr. Gaskin through a mentorship program with Best Academy down there in Atlanta, and mentoring the youth. This is something that I've been a part of since I was 14, 15 years old. I've been coaching basketball even while I was still a player, while I was in high school, summer camps and things of that sort. So I'm very big on giving back to the youth and helping them, give them the tools they need to be successful. Because I know, like my brother said, without my father, without having somebody there for me to give me the information I have, I don't know where I'd be. So I appreciate you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to be in you all's presence.
Well, first, I just want to tell everybody watching tonight, y'all are in the presence of some great men. Each and every one of these men, they have dedicated their time, their energy, their talents their wisdom, their hearts to all kind of youth in our community. So we may be talking about why it's important for Black men to be present in Black young men's lives, but each and every one of these men have invested not only in Black men, but in Black men, Black young ladies, Black community. Like, they've really been present. So I just want to let everybody know tonight we're gonna have a wealth of knowledge, we're gonna have a lot of honesty, we're gonna have a life-changing conversation. But I want to see if I can share this video, man. Y'all put your fingers crossed for me, because clearly me and this video ain't been working well. Let's see. So what I just tried to do is I tried to open the video first before I played. Before I shared the screen, hoping that that will make it work. But for whatever reason, y'all, this thing is not working for me. Oh. All right, one more time. Okay. All right, y'all. This thing would not let me share the video screen. I can share everything else, but not the video screen. So I guess I'm gonna have to give up on this video for tonight. Do y'all know what I may be doing here to where I can't see the video to be able to share the video?
Ashley said that you could send it to her and she might be able to play it.
Okay. All right, well, I'll do this then. I send it over to Ash, and then we can go ahead and start the conversation for tonight, and we'll get back to it. But when I was preparing for this conversation, I tried to go back and play in my head who was the first mentor that I really had in my life, right? Who was the first person that stepped into my life that, to me, I try to look at it as that had a relationship with me that didn't want to see me fail. Like, I feel like loosely, that's what mentoring is. Mentoring is somebody who comes into your life that says, I want to see your life be more positive for you, right? And that could look a whole lot of different ways. But the first person who I had in my life that I could say really invested in me as a mentor was a homeless man who was a junkie in my neighborhood, right? When I was walking to school in middle school, I used to have to walk past a whole lot of crack houses, a whole lot of gambling houses, a whole lot of spots where hustlers just be outside all day, right? And it was this one homeless dude who just decided he was gonna start walking to school with me. So when he would see me walking to school in the morning, he would be right there at the end of my driveway. He'd walk all the way to school with me. And then when I got out of school in the afternoon, he'd still be there at the end of the school, like right, not on the school grounds, but like right at the tip of the school, like right by the street. And he'd walk back with me. And at first it threw me off because like dude smelled horrible. Like clearly he ain't have a lot going on with himself. But for whatever reason, he walked back and forth with me every morning and every afternoon. And he didn't tell me why he was there. He just would show up. And then one day I finally asked him, like, what's good? Like, what you doing? And he told me he had saw me sneaking into an abandoned house, smoking weed in an abandoned house. And that's where the homeless people used to smoke crack at. And that's where they used to sleep at. They can go out, go inside somewhere when it be cold or when it be raining or something like that. And he was like, when he saw me going in the house, it reminded him of how he first started crack in the first place, right? So he knew that I had to walk past all these hustlers and I had to go through all this stuff every day getting back and forth to school. And he was like, he just made a decision. He didn't want to see one more brother end up how he did. He didn't want to see one more person end up in the streets. He didn't want to see one more person hustling. Now, mind you, this is a homeless person who's addicted to drugs. I'm talking about he smelled so bad I could smell him before I walked up. But he was the first person that was like, bro, I just don't want to see you go down my path. He didn't have a whole lot of advice to give me. He couldn't tell me how to get into school, how to get a job, how to even be a part of a family, none of that. But his goal was just to see me not become a drug addict like him and to see me not become a victim of like wanting to be a hustler. Now I ended up still hustling. I still went into the street and he stayed with me. Like he stayed a friend and he stayed a person who I could trust and talk to all the way up until he died. He ended up dying in the winter. Two years ago, he was sleeping in a car to get outside of the winter and he froze back inside the car, right? But up until he died, he was like an honest friend and he was somebody who used to tell me when he saw me getting beside myself. When you're in the streets, stuff moves so fast a lot of times, it's easy for you to lose yourself. But he was the first person who really was committed to watching me just wanted to make sure I stayed alive out here in these streets, right? And the funny thing is I never really looked at him like a mentor until I was really trying to look at what we're going to talk about on this show and why was it so important. But to me, guys, the reason why it's so important that black men show up in young black men's lives is because, man, most of our young black men out here, they lost in some kind of way. They were born into a society that it doesn't really make a space for them. Like American society does not want to see black men succeed. We can all pretty much agree on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to put words in y'all mouth, but America wasn't created for black people to succeed. And it was never created for black men to succeed. So even now, America still don't make a lot of room for black men. Like, you can look at the criminal justice system. You can look at the school system. You can look at a lot of different ways in where our society put like a glass ceiling in front of us, if not a trap. So a lot of our young men, they don't have a clear path on what they need to do to make it through life. And if we as black men don't show up and show them that path, how are they gonna ever change the community that we trying to create? You get what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like it's so important. And I want to say this, and I want to be very upfront and honest. I'm not proud as a black man of how we collectively are taking care of our young black men. I'm not proud of the way collectively. Not saying every black man is not showing up, but collectively, I don't think we're doing nearly enough to make sure every black man, every black male as a black man that's positive in their life. What's y'all thoughts on that? Do you think black men are showing up enough?
I mean, I can agree with you on that one. As a collective, I don't believe we are showing up as we need to. I do feel that it is a transition. It's a shift in the atmosphere, and everybody kind of can feel it. You know, we're starting to really just wake up and really just start to, you know, hold people accountable. So some of the stuff that they doing and they saying, you know, at one point in time, and not to say that, systematic organizations had pretty much set this in play for us to kind of, you know, monetize off of the death of our community, and you know, but that's what we do. That's what a lot of all of our role models are, people who are death dealers, who deal not drugs, but deal a lifestyle that no longer even pretty much the same no more for some of our boys. So I kind of agree with you, you know, and for example, you know, a lot of the areas are now, you know, in Atlanta, there are a lot of low income areas. And it's like, you know, every video is shot in those little small areas. Every movie is shot in these little small areas, but you don't see a fund that will transform that area. You know, just recently, P Valley had you know, a little few apartment complexes that's right off Boom on the video, on the movie, and you know, you're not going to see that area even change or them invest off of the millions that they made off of that show, you know. And it's like, I know for a fact that we are starting to wake up and understand and see these things, but we have never held each other as men accountable for the things that we put into our community.
Now, I'm sorry, I apologize to cut you off. I want to bring Mr. Womack into this because he's a little older than us, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because I kind of disagree on some of the things you're saying, right? Like if you look at right before the crack era hit, if you look at the late 70s, early 80s, and any time really before that, black men were leaders in that community. They were very present, and mentorship was a part of the way we thought, right? And just like how you brought up P Valley, right? That's a show that idolizes a lot of the negativity that even got our communities to the place where it's at. And a lot of times we bring in the negativity with the positivity, right? But those things, we don't cut the check for our shows. We don't okay what shows come on. A lot of those things are what took this stuff away from our community, right? But if you go back and you talk to some of our elders, like what the things, we're not getting to a new place. We're getting back to an old place. Am I wrong about that, Mr. Womack?
You're not wrong about that. You're definitely not wrong about that. And this is a product of the times and how the 60s gave us a good and a bad situation. Back in the day, even before me, there's a major time when churches, fraternities, black men, Masons, Elks, all of these different institutions were really about mentoring, about taking a young person and showing them how to do it, how to live, how to be a husband, how to be a family member, how to be a productive citizen in the society at large, but also in your own community. Those institutions exist and they were thriving. You know, Prince Hall Masons in Atlanta were huge. Smooth Ashlar Masons in Atlanta, huge, leading and doing things in the area. But then also our communities in the 1960s, prior to 1960s, were really compact. They were all in the same general area. Now they're so spread out. You don't have that same communal feeling that we used to have where well, you could say, hey, my grandmother lived down the street, my cousin lived on the back street, and so on and so forth. And that aunt can see me down the street and say, look, you better get right, son. I'm telling your mama, or I'm gonna whoop you here. And then by the time you get home, you get in another whooping. That community feeling really was big in the pre-60s era. But once integration happened, some of the unintended consequences came about, and that community started to fall. You start to tear. We became more individualistic, which is American philosophy, and European in particular, but definitely American. Started becoming individualism. We started to buy into that. So much so that our family is really a nuclear family versus our extended family like we used to have in the early 50s and 60s and even earlier. So that's a very important point that you raised. So, but we still have to get into that. And that's one of the things that we need to do now, because I agree with you, Strickland. At one point, we all were lost for whatever reason, but it's certain communities keep their kids, have institutions in where they don't even leave their community until they're 12 years old. So by that time, they have a foundation in which to understand who they are, but then also what are the outside external possible negative forces are and able to better combat that.
You know what? I want to hear Ivan and Mike's take on this, but I actually want to turn this a little bit, right? I want to, because I'm a little bit older than you guys, I want to do almost like a comparison here, right? Like, well, I just noticed something that was interesting. When we start talking about Black men investing in young Black men, you brought in economics and you brought in communities coming up, right? And the reason why that caught me is like, my family is originally from Chicago. When you look at inner city Chicago for the Black community has always been poor, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you got your nicer areas, but for the most part, it's always been poor. I don't see impoverished or well-to-do communities as different in this struggle. What I see is a lack of concern and a lack of value for a certain grouping of people, right? So what I'm saying by that is I don't feel like we need to come out of poverty, or we need to bring up our communities, or we need to take people from an impoverished community and get them visibility to like our Buckhead or our North Side or our more well-to-do affluent areas. I think that we have to care about people exactly where they are, right? And it's interesting to me that when you gave your answer, Martin, that your answer said a lot. It had a lot to do with like showing them another way, showing them another place, right? And I understand that exposure plays a key role in people wanting to strive to do something different. But the value of a person is in the person, not in the value that that person has, right? So sometimes we had to reach people to sow a seed, not making an investment. To say, I'm going to care about you exactly how you are, where you are, and for who you are. Not saying that I'm going to care about you in hopes that you become something different. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And I think that there's been a shift in our community to where, how can I say this? Rebuilding the community and growing the community is the way that we fix the community. Like, take an old dilapidated thing and make it fresh and make it new, right? But the thing is everybody's not going to be in a position to where they can make it new. Some people aren't going to lead the hood. Some people aren't going to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. They just need people to care about them exactly where they are. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because it just clicked to me that was the first association that we had with reaching our young men where they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's almost like put them on a bus and take them to a better place. But the thing is the bus really even big enough to put everybody on that bus? Do we not first have to be a value for the person exactly as they are, where they are? Like, let me say this. Ivan, I'm going to put him on the spot. Ivan does something that he didn't even really speak about. Ivan takes young men and gives them jobs in his company, and he lets them work with his company. and he'll pay them while he's working. They don't have to have a lot of skills. They're really there to just more so, he keeps them around and gives them busy work, but the goal is for them to be able to watch other men work, for them to be able to have a conversation with another group of men that earn a living doing something positive, right? Because he's just trying to embed something into their thought process. Am I right about this, Ivan? Like, you don't do that because you expect to get a lot or even to get the return on your money that it costs you, but you want them to see what it's like to be able to work and earn a living, right? A lot of those young men may come to Ivan and they may be close to homeless or living in a really bad condition. And you can't exactly change that condition. And from what I witnessed, you don't try to change everybody's condition, but you try to embed something in them so that they can want to change their own condition later. Am I right about this?
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because we're not always going to be able to take a person to a better place. But the better place may start right here where we show value for them. And by showing value for them, it makes them want to have better. Is that making sense what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah, definitely. The shift comes from within instead of, like you said, instead of cosmetically changing.
Exactly.
On the outside, and just keep bringing them shiny new things and, cleaning up everything around them instead of cleaning up everything around them. Let's start with them.
Exactly. And Ivan, I want to add you and Mike into the conversation, but the reason why that's so pivotal to me is because, a lot of our young people grow up looking at people who have a lot of wealth and have a lot of items and have a lot of stuff, but they may not take care of their own kids. They may promote negativity or violence. They may do a lot of things that are really destructive to our community. But if we tell them like the goal is to get money and to get out the community without giving them those character traits, without giving them those self-values, without giving them those elements first, we may create somebody who's just materialistic and who may be a criminal just because we're trying to get somebody to do something different. Does that make sense?
No,
Mike, I have any thoughts on this so far? Okay, there we go.
I definitely, so there was a couple of things that I thought were interesting, right? So Mr. Womack brought up the fact that before you used to have Black doctors living next to Black garbage men, living next to Black fathers, living next to Black teachers, right? And you had all of these different professions living all in the same space, right? So you could see somebody who maybe had a good job or at least you knew where they lived and they were close enough to where it wasn't this huge separation between destitute poverty and Black people who had some things going on in terms of career, in terms of other things and exposure. And I think that when we talk about our generation specifically, there is a hyper materialism that has never been seen before. When you think about TikTok, Instagram, like social media, there is a huge motivating factor that says, hey, the value system that we're talking about was not necessarily present there in terms of a father being there to instill a lot of these values. And since that value system isn't there, right, we're literally being raised by our heroes, rappers and ball players. And when you start thinking about what is the messaging behind that, hey, you being a real man, right, or truly Black, right, your Blackness comes from your ability to spend money, right, your ability to have things, to have wealth, to be able to dominate in these facets. And I think that when we think about why it's important to have conversations around, hey, look, this value system can not only be valuable in a way that ties directly to your morality or maybe something along the lines of character, is because I think a lot of times a lot of young individuals coming from some of these communities that we're trying to reach don't see how that makes their life better, right? And especially when you look at like a Donald Trump, right? It's become very hard to have certain conversations and say, hey, look, morality is important, character is important, you have to have integrity, right? These words mean something because when you cannot do these things, right, your life cannot go to a certain level. And they say, well, look at the president, right? And when you say these things, right, it's something that you almost have to believe in blindly to a certain extent because the time horizon to prove, hey, look, over time, right, you may get ahead today, right? You typically don't see where that trajectory ends off, right? You see somebody throwing money today. You see that person buying that nice car. You see that person having that chain or that lifestyle that's different than yours. So a lot of them pursue that. And I think that it's a delicate balance because I'm 100% with you, Keith, that the conversation around values, love, right? These are things that I try to talk about, try to embody or like, hey, what is it that makes you you? What is your story and how's that valuable regardless of how much money you have? However, at the same time, if I walk into a classroom, right, dressed down, regular clothes, no name brands, right? It's gonna be harder for me to get their attention than if I walk in with valleys and brands and all these other things, because
let me
that's
throw a thought out.
value there.
How do our youth get to that point though? Like, how do they get to that
They're
point that you
conditioned.
just talked
I'm
about?
saying
Because what you just said, I think that's the product of us not showing up. Because everything shows up in their place, and what we end up doing is we let materialism, we let fame, we let the number of followers, we let the number of cars, we let stand on the north side define all of those things, and then we had to step into their realm because we never made a realm for them.
I agree. You know, I feel like I'm in a unique space where like I'm just now like an adult. You know what I'm saying? Like just like I'm grown with a little G. You know what I'm saying? Like grown man, but like I'm depending on the day, I might duck a couple of responsibilities right quick. Like I get away with that, you know. But I think that being in this space, I can see both sides to where like when a 14-year-old comes to me with a problem, I'll be like, yeah, bro, I understand. But then when a 34-year-old comes or a 44-year-old comes to me with something, I'm like, yeah, I understand too. And I think that seeing both sides of that, social media has done a huge I don't want to blame it as a disservice, but it's a huge factor. And when we talk about lacking fathers, right? These are current modern day elements that we have to factor into these equations, because if we say, hey, look, we just need to change your value systems, right? We also have to show how our value system's changing, how integrity is valuable to your life. And that's basically what I'm getting at.
Let me if you don't mind, just to jump in, Ivan, you're absolutely right on we have to compete with the existing prevailing mindset. Schools have to compete as a way that you can actually become valuable by being educated. Whereas, you know, now I can go pick up a ball, a football, or even get on a rap, and hey, I don't even need a record deal. I can just go ahead and throw something together, do something on TikTok or in my house, and I can blow up and be the next Soulja Boy or the next Lil Nas X or whatever it is I'm trying to be, and do it, since social media is that thing, and it gave you that a lot more independence with the internet. So, but you're 100%. So correct that we have to take our values and show how that does add value, and it does produce the life that you so desire. The material things, you can have them without sacrificing your soul at the very same time. And we have to do that at early on, and even earlier than what we're doing. And maybe that's some of the things that Mike could definitely help us out with, certain videos and movies and TV shows that are being produced, that we can actually brainwash them in that way. We can actually give them that, and it's creative brainwashing and for a positive scenario versus the materialism that we are producing right now.
Hey man, I wanna have a very real conversation while I got y'all. I know each and every one of y'all, and I know that y'all are real dudes. I feel like we're not having a real conversation. I feel like we're having an intelligent conversation, but not a real to the heart of
on the radio, Keith.
When I was out here on the streets and I was out here selling drugs at 12, 13 years old, when I was getting in the shootouts at 15, everybody in my neighborhood saw me on the block. They saw me walking up and down the street. They heard us when we were shooting. As long as we ain't shoot towards their house, as long as we ain't bring that over there, they didn't care at all. I just had 3 participants in our program that got murdered this month. Everybody said, man, I'm praying for you. Nobody said, how can I help you? You get what I'm saying? So I feel like we can say all this stuff, social media, yeah, the movies, yeah, the influences, yeah, but the first influence is the person that reaches you when you out here hurting in the street. The reason why our games get so big is because they there. They're present. They care. We don't.
Yeah.
I did a visual in the West End when 3 young men killed the store clerk. And they killed the store clerk for $43. I believe it was $43. And now, mind you, they had to split that between each other, right? And the community asked me, would I come out and lead this visual and speak? You know the first thing I asked the community when I did the visual? When I used to ride up and down that street and I saw them young men outside and in front of the store, asking could they cut grass, asking could they take out trash, asking could they do little stuff to earn money. What was y'all at? They was there for months asking y'all, telling y'all they hungry. And y'all didn't care for so long that they went into that store and tried to rob that man. You get what I'm saying? The community had a chance. Social media wasn't there. The community was. What I'm saying is we, black men, when we look at black boys who were once us, why isn't there a connection that says, I need to care about you? I need to make sure you stay alive. I need to make sure you don't go to jail. I need to make sure you don't get pulled into anything that can cause you to think a way that I know will hurt you because I've seen it. Every last one of us that had somebody we care about that done got killed, and we probably got somebody we care about right now that's incarcerated. Why is it that we can see this happening to our young men, but it's not lighting the fire up under us that's saying, what I got to do?
I think, brother, this audience is you preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, but
all of us are doing something here, so there's no debate in that scenario. We have relationships with people who we know aren't here.
I have a point. One thing I didn't say about myself, I got my master's degree in history from Clayton State University. What's up, D? No, not right now. You didn't do your schoolwork. Mm-hmm. No, you didn't. Mm-hmm.
See, man, it ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing.
You're right.
You didn't do your schoolwork.
But this is my point, y'all.
I gave you opportunity.
He may be leading in this space, but how many other black men, how many of your friends, how many of the men in your family you see that aren't present?
Yeah.
Say that again.
How many other black men do you see that are not present? You get what I'm
I
saying?
mean, like it's a lot.
What do you think we need to do? What do you think we can do to be able to change?
This is what I'm about to say, Keith. I think what I was saying was the reason why I brought up the point about me getting my master's degree in history is because it really made me think about bigger picture, this whole being black men in the United States. I think that historically we have been taught, even when we try to make strides forward, where it seems like it's damned if we do, damned if we don't, because of the environment that we're in. I think one reason why black men aren't as present as they should be in the young black men's lives is because they don't identify with them. They don't understand their history. They don't understand how they're connected to one another. They don't understand where they come from. There's a lot of black people that don't understand where we come from. The reason why the other ethnic groups in this country are a lot stronger than the African-American community because they understand where they come from. They're usually tied to a motherland or something greater than themselves. So that's what causes them to make sacrifices for another, whereas we don't, because we're not tied to something greater. We're not educated, and we're in an environment that promotes the separatism and the keeping the individualistic ideology circulating in our mind. The whole self-made, MMG made 3 albums called Self-Made, Volume 1, 2, and 3. That's like the most bullshit I ever, like when I was in high school, I thought it was tight. You know, self-made. You want to be self-made man. I don't need no help. I don't need nobody. But that's really BS. So I've been doing a lot of reading. I started looking up Marcus Garvey. And one ethnic group that I learned about while I was in graduate school studying history was the Jews. And I started learning about their plight and what they went through in Europe before coming to the United States. And a lot of the reasons why Jewish people became so successful in the United States is because of their plight in Europe. The Jewish people were similar prior to, I want to say, like the Holocaust. Well, the Holocaust is really like the defining moment that kind of pushed a lot of the Jewish people out of Europe and finally got them to say, okay, we need to get the fuck out of Europe. We need to find refuge and start building somewhere else, was the Holocaust. But prior to that, they were like a group of people with no land, particularly the European Jews, the Catholics, the Anglo-Saxons, the Anglicans, all the different Protestant groups of the European, all the different Christian and Protestant and Catholic groups of the different nations in Europe ostracized and what's the word I'm looking for? What do we always say? We are being...
They oppressed them. They pushed them out.
Oppressed. They're oppressed. Yeah. They were the oppressed groups of Europe. So, and then after the Holocaust, a lot of them got on both and left. But then they were able to understand their story and create communities here that pushed progress and growth within themselves. I had plans. I was supposed to go to Ghana back in April, but you know, the whole thing COVID-19 hit and I wasn't able to go. But one thing that really made me stronger in my blackness was first my father, because he showed love in me And I understand that I came from strong black man, a successful black man. My dad played in NFL, but my dad, he could have been just another statistic because since he played college football, he got put on child support. He had to sell drugs through college while he was playing football to provide for me, or he would have ended up in jail. You know what I'm saying? Because in NCAA rules, you can't have a job if you're on a scholarship. So his scholarship was only paying for his school. But my mom and him were at odds, so she needed money to take care of me, so he had to be on side. My dad sold drugs while I was a baby, while he was in college, and luckily he didn't end up getting caught. It's a few moments that he told me he came close to running in with the law and thought he was going to end up getting arrested, but thank God he was able to make it. He played in the NFL for 11 seasons. But even in those moments where we do have men that are trying to be present, trying to do the right thing, they end up in prison. You know, like Meek Mill said in his last album, talking about if you don't have your mother always working, your father's either dead or in the jail cell, like who gonna babysit? Who gonna really be there present? And that's because of the system that is the United States.
Mike, the thing is, I get everything you're saying, brother.
Okay, but this is what I'm saying. I'm saying we have to reprogram our thinking. We
Yeah,
can't
but
think of
what
it.
I'm saying is we're here right now.
Hold on. We have to reprogram how we value the communities here in the United States. In my opinion, I think we need, in order to really start to reconfigure and really start building ties with these young men in these communities, we have to connect them to something greater than what we have been connected to these last 400 or 500 years here in this country. And that's something that's just to the source. We got to go back to where we came from. We have to start understanding our true roots, our true ethnicity, who we are as black people. How we're tied to the black people in the West Indies, how we're tied to how we're tied to the people in South America, the African people.
But what I'm saying,
and then how we tie back to Africa.
Okay, I get everything you're saying, and I agree with you, right? Like if we don't have a connection with what makes us proud as a people, then it's gonna be very difficult for us to be able to have something to tap into. But this is the thing: we're here now. We've been in this country for a long time.
We don't always have to be here.
What was that?
We don't always have to be here. And we have to start
but what I'm saying
bigger.
Is we have to protect the people who are here right here today, right now today. Like even if we don't connect back with our roots, we have a culture ourselves right here.
But I think we're going to be continuing in that cycle that we've been in if we don't connect back to that roots. If we don't tie it to something greater than what we've already been trying to tie ourselves to, we're going to continue in this cycle.
So I'm gonna add a little bit to that what Mr. Strickland and Hodge spoke about earlier. We gotta remember now in the 50s and the 60s we had now we had communities, we had money. I don't know if anybody ever looked at the How to Sell the Negro on YouTube, but it tells you when they found out that we had $1 trillion spending power, predatory ad companies hit us across the head daily. So we had money. They said we actually everybody get a chance to. I want everybody listening to look at How to Sell the Negro on YouTube, and it's a real video that was shown at the Commerce. I don't know the name of it, but the Commerce something, the U.S. Commerce Opener or whatever. And they say that, wow. Yeah,
it's a powerful video. I saw it too. That's a powerful video, brother.
So we got to understand now, we did have these communities here at one point in time, and systemic reasoning, zoning, the crack era, all these different things hit us across the head to separate us again. So I think the value system was a big one, but how you kind of transform my mindset a little bit just now, thinking about it like, you know what, let's not think about it as the monetary thought processes. What can we give? What can we give? Because that's what we know. That's all black men know. Honestly, that's what we do as fathers, give her the child support and get out the way. But I get what Mr. Strickland is saying for sure about us getting a little bit closer and in depth to meet them where they are emotionally and try to bring them up from there.
Yeah, and this is the reason why I'm saying that, guys. Like, I look at my own circle, man. I had to say that if a black man didn't take care of, and I'm saying black man because that's my family, that's my community, right? But if they didn't take care of their children, if they cheated on their wife, if I watched them cheat other people, if I watched them put their hands on a woman, if I watched them beat or abuse anybody, you can't be in my circle. So it had to become a code to where if you don't carry yourself a certain way, I can't rock with you. You get what I'm saying? And then once I got further in life, it was like, if you ain't giving back opportunities, you can't be in the same circle. Like, I can't rock with you. So I had to lead by example first And then I had to tell the people around me, like, hey, man, I love you, but I just can't rock with you like that. Like, if I don't see you doing the things that we know we miss, if you know that you didn't have a father present in your life, or if your father wasn't the example you needed, or whatever it was, if you go out there and duplicate them actions, you know what you're doing to people. You know what it is. Like, I can't do it. Hey, Ashley, if you don't mind, can you play the video real quickly for me? And I want to play this because I want to say, when did things like this stop being our example, right? Like, I want y'all to watch this.
So pull up tight and then straddle, okay?
Okay.
1, 2. Are you okay? Did that hurt? But hey, you see how you never straddled? You didn't go for a straddle right there, okay? And that was kind of dangerous. So make sure you go for the right skill, okay? Because if I say pull up and then straddle, and you do a pull up and you don't straddle, you're gonna fall. But Daddy will always save you. I won't let you hit the ground like that, okay? But make sure you follow instructions, okay? Give me my big kiss. Are you ready to get it? You okay? Wipe those tears off. I got you.
Hi, Instagram in this time.
Let's get it. Big smile. Double up. 1, 2. Good. Drop full up to a straddle. Kick out now. Good. Handski. 1, 2. Lock out. Good. 1, 2. Good. Stretch.
This is the video I saw
out your leg.
rolling.
Double down. Go. Toes.
On Instagram.
Woo. Clean. Yeah. How did that one feel? That was the best.
Okay. And the reason why I wanted to show that, man, is like, when did that stop being our example of what being a black leader or black king or black pride as a black man felt like? Now we look at all the material things. We look at the cars. We look at the status. We look at how other people treat us, how other people view us. And our young men are basing all of that stuff on who they want to be, like what business they can run, how much money they can have, how other people treat them. But truth be told, the difference, I think, between now and the 50s and the 60s and the 40s or whenever is the fact that black men used to have pride in how they took care of their families. Now, we praising other black men who got multiple baby mamas. I'm talking about 5, 6, 7, 8, and you don't even see them with their kids. But we still call them a black king. We still hold them up here because we let materialism and we let other people's opinions of us get in front of what should be our value system. You get what I'm saying? Like, even one of my buddies owns a mine in Africa, right? And they go to Africa 4 times a year so that they can check on the mine. Like, that's a part of their agreement with that country where you got to actually go there 4 times a year. And when they go there, they go out to restaurants, they do things. They're the largest employer in that area of the space where the mine is, right? And when they go there, African women, they might have a drink with them, they might talk with them at a bar, but it goes no further than that. One day they asked them, why is it that y'all treat us like this when we come here? You know what the African women told them? They said, everybody knows African-American men don't take care of their children. They'll have a child and they'll have a woman bring that child into the world, and then it's on that woman and it's on that child to take care of themselves, right? They said that all of their elders have taught them, even though your men may be more poor or your men may not have as much, it's better to be with a man that has less that values you than it is to have a man that has money that values itself. And
Keith, I think the balance to that though. So the program that we talked about, I hear exactly what you're saying. One thing that I think is also important is that whenever I'm working with these kids that like might be homeless, you know what I'm saying? Like they come out and while they're working, right? The very first thing I always try to do is feed them, right? Because I know that if they're hungry, nothing else that I say is gonna mean anything, right? Because you're hungry, like you're distracted. You have no possible way that you're gonna be able to absorb, digest, and actualize any of the things we're getting ready to talk about because you're thinking about food. You're trying to survive. And I think that whatever I'm talking about on the materialism side or making sure that we provide, hey, look, this is not just this biblical, this far off, and nothing's wrong with the Bible. I believe in the Bible, but like this far off standard that says, hey, do this for no reason, right? We have to show the benefit. Like, this is how you change your life. You know what I'm saying? You can become better. You can get out of poverty. You can change the way that you interact with the world and live a better life by living by these principles and doing these things. And I think that's really the big problem. A lot of people, I think black people, we don't understand averages, right? You can send an entire generation into trades, right? Like if black people, we're saying we don't do school well, and once again, that's terrible. I don't want to perpetuate that, but I'm saying there are some individuals who associate that with, hey, look, I'm not doing well in school, so that means I have to play basketball. No, that means that you have to find another way, right? And we don't have enough of those outlets to say, hey, look, I can use my hands to build a better life. I can make $130,000 as an electrician, as a heat and air man. I can make $160 as a plumber. And once again, that's not to narrow possibilities, but I do think it's very important that we begin these conversations with, hey, eat this, right? Now that your survival is taken off the table, we can have a conversation about how to build up your morality because you're no longer fighting to survive.
You know, one thing my fault, I just want to throw one thought out. When you feed somebody, the first thing you do for them before you even take care of their direct need is you show them you care. You show them that you care. And that is my point right there, Ivan. Once you show somebody you care, they want to hear what you got to say. But when you telling somebody what you think they should do or what they shouldn't do, but you ain't showed them you care yet, why would anybody want to hear what you got to say? And I want to hear what you got to say right now, brother. So segue, perfect time, and I apologize for cutting you off.
No, you're fine. It's perfect. But you're absolutely right. And we do that in education. The first thing that we teach teachers that children don't care what you know is until they know how much you care. So and it's cliche-ish, but it is indeed the truth and just evidenced by the scenario that Ivan just gave. The key, one of the things I think that we really need to focus on is how are we growing and multiplying ourselves? How is Keith Strickland, how is Womack, Martin, Mike, and Ivan, how are we all multiplying ourselves? Are we not only training the young group, but how are we training other men as well? Like, are we in some type of fraternal order or some type of group or crew that are saying, you know what, this is how we're doing, and we're going to at least make sure we're straight, and then at least one other person straight. That's some of the things that we do. So in the fraternal organization that I'm in, Masonry is one, and you just get in, you say, okay, we're duplicating men. We're teaching men how to be men. And it's hard to do that now, Keith, because it is such an ingrained thing that starts when you're young. That girl will forever measure other men by what her father is doing for her. But notice how young she is, though. That is something that has, but just that young man, the father, had to also be trained to be that way as well, in some shape, form, or fashion. How you got it, I don't know. But the point is that we have to do that work. We have to be willing to set up our crew and another generation behind us to make sure that they're successful and have those models.
And I completely agree with you guys. We down to our last 5 minutes. So what I would like is for each one of us to give one example of what we do personally on how we try to reinvest, right? How we try to recreate ourselves, how we try to go out there and just show somebody we care. Something that I've been doing is I go back into the places where I know I lost myself at, and I go back there and I try to make sure that I show that I care, I'm a light, and I show that I'm somebody who you can reach, right? So I let my visual example be a sign that you can make it without selling drugs. You can make it without having your gun on you. You can make it without doing this. But I also show that I care by showing up. So I go to different areas and I pull up on different gangs. I go to different traps and I pull up where they selling drugs at. My name is pretty good in the city, so most people like kind of know who I am. So I go places and I just talk to guys and be like, hey, you know, why you choosing to sell drugs today? No judgment. Just let me know like what got you out here on the block. And if you can give me a legitimate reason why you block, I try to go and find a legitimate replacement for that reason. You get what I'm saying? But even if we don't get you off the block, I'm letting you know I love you exactly as you are. I'm right here. I got your back. Because what I've noticed is when people see that somebody care about them, they make a lot of changes on their own. They just need to know that somebody cares and somebody will be there. All right, so whoever wants to go next, just give one example of what other people can do that you feel like can make a difference.
Well, I'll go. Today's my day off, so I'm at work on my day off. Technically, I probably pick up the most shifts as far as, you know, the days I'm not supposed to be. I haven't worked an 80-hour pay period, like probably maybe 2 or 3 times out of the times I've been working here since November. So I actually enjoy giving back and being here present with the youngins. You know, we get a quick turnaround. Kids are normally here 6 to 8 months, but I keep in contact with the kids, get their contact information, get their little social media accounts, and I keep in contact with them. Sometimes kids reach out to me, Coach Mike, what's going on with you? You know, my young brothers, and, you know, I just enjoy, being a positive impact with them every day, and using different avenues, whether it be sports, whether it be through music, finding ways to connect with them, finding ways to make them feel good about themselves and value themselves. So when they value themselves and feel like that they have a purpose in this world, that they're actually good at something, that they can believe in themselves, that they can make something on themselves, then they go out and actually try and do better for themselves. So that's one thing that I do. I spend a lot of time here at my quote unquote occupation, and I also spend time that I'm not even supposed to be here up here. So I would say that's the main primary thing I'm doing.
All right, guys, we got like 1 minute split between the two of y'all. I apologize, but
all right, real quick, I try to make sure that I give back things that I think can like tangibly reshape somebody's life. For example, I try to teach as many Black people as I can how to buy houses and how to invest and how to make more money. Straight like that.
I'm gonna piggyback off of Ivan with the same thing, man. Let's leverage our expertise, man. What we are experts in. Let's be able to pass along that trade as Black men to another person, so they can multiply that, tenfold every time they get it. Make sure we let them know to pass that along.
And likewise, just to be brief, same here. Educator, do that for free. Now I volunteer to do it. I teach kids, middle school kids as well. The other thing is that I work for just working with a fraternal order, just to make sure that other men my age are able to be supported and get some of those things. Because even at my age and even younger, counseling, thinking about going to counseling for issues that you may have, going to the doctor is another thing, because it's just not that we're dying because of going to jail. Hey, we may be dying young because of heart attack. My dad died at 39 years old because of a heart attack. It's not that he went to jail or did anything wrong. He died. So we have to think about that. And that's what I do with the other men that are in my circle.
Hey, one thing I do want to leave is a thought. The city of Atlanta is one of the most prosperous cities in the United States for the Black community, only tied with DC from the last time I checked. With 96 out of every 100 Black males born in poverty in the city of Atlanta would die still in poverty, right? So I'm saying that to say that the connection just is not there. Like point blank period. We can't argue that. The connection is not there. And we look at our young men, that's what I'm saying. We look at our young men and we see the struggle, right? But we're not seeing us showing up. So to anybody who is watching this, any Black male, any Black person, anybody in the community, we may be talking about Black men to Black children or Black males right now, but our community needs us. Don't think that we're in an okay position. Don't think that we got this figured out, because we don't. Once again, we had a highest level of youth dying still in poverty in the United States for any major city, in the same city where Black people are doing the very best for themselves. So there's a disconnect somewhere. All right, thank you guys again for coming on tonight. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening. And once again, just real quick before we go off, can y'all just quickly say your social media handle so people know where to find you?
Ivan_Gaskin.
At Never Forget, spelled FOURGET. Never forget.
Go teacherstouch.com.
At Mike D. Scott 10. At Mike D. Scott 10, and my production company page is j.lee_stories. j.lee_stories. That's my production company page, so you can check out some of my content. And my individual page is Mike D. Scott 10. And you said it was at Never Forget. Never Forget. How do you spell forget?
FOURGET. And that's actually the street I grew up in Savannah, Georgia, 44th Street.
Okay. Never forget. And Mr. I can't remember the
okay. Hey Mr. guys, Womack. We gotta hop off, but I'll connect y'all via text. I'll connect you guys with each other.
Okay.
All right, y'all be blessed.